again by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner, gets up center. Perry scores! Corey Perry!
Ilya able to shake away from Solani. It's given away to Solani. Around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal.
And the fans want one. Score! Off the floor! On the board! Paul Kournianos!
Oh my God, we got to win. Oh my God.
So happy.
Against the Stanley Cup champs.
Yes,
oh
the
God.
defendant. Ovi the
Unreal.
Great.
Ovi the Great falls down, and the Ducks stand triumphantly over his carcass at center ice. Welcome back, everybody. It's Jay and Silent Bob taking over the post-game show tonight. Patrick and Jason are back in full force. Eddie is, doing Canadian things in Canada. They're doing, whatever he's got going up there. I don't know, man.
He's just mad about Miller and the fact that now he's the best American-born goalie.
Yeah, I like how he took a slight to us for putting that in the show notes. Like, that's not important.
Mentioning it.
So before we hop into the show, everyone who's listening here, I mean, the Ducks won 5-2 over the Capitals, and we're definitely going to get into that. But we're putting together notes. One of us usually takes game notes, and then we all share into the doc. And before we go live, Eddie's like, "Oh, you just had to sneak in Ryan Miller's the winningest American goaltender," and I'm like,
"Yeah,
we
had to slide it in there. Like it wasn't worthy of the notes for Edward. Sorry."
Yeah, sorry, it's not Terry Sawchuk or Martin Brodeur or Patrick Waugh.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you guys, knew about hockey, way before everyone else, and now you're jealous that somebody's coming close.
We're sneaking up.
If it helps, he was being compared amongst Americans. Like, there's still a whole other Canadian level that he hasn't hit yet, apparently.
I know.
So the Ducks, Jason, come away with a 5-2 win in what is Bob Murray's third career head coaching game. Very interesting one, to say the least, tonight.
You didn't do air quotes for head coaching.
Oh, supreme overlord, executive vice president, head coach, general manager, Bob Murray.
Everything. Yes, yeah. BM.
Yeah, he comes into to get a sniff of what's going on the team, and he's just secretly trying to cancel the tank. We were all ready to tank here. We're all, gunning it. Let's get that high draft pick.
See,
Bobby.
I'm partially torn on that, because I think on paper the talent we had is actually decent enough, and we're just completely underperforming this whole season. And now we're kind of actually playing to what I think our potential is. It's still not upper echelon, but everything is better than what it used to be, at least in this game, and even some parts the other games before. Not Boston necessarily, but
there was spurts of it against the Bruins, but it definitely wasn't like tonight. I mean, I think they caught the Caps on a
tonight was a little different.
For sure. The Caps did
which is weird.
Themselves. But I'm not trying to take away the win for the Ducks, because I thought they played much better hockey today.
Yeah, they might have taken advantage of Washington. Like you said, they didn't look all that quick, so I couldn't really tell if it was the Ducks were playing all that much better or Washington was kind of playing average. I think they said now Washington is 8-9-3 over their last 15 games or whatever. I can't do math right now. 20 games. So that's mediocre. They came off of a big win over San Jose, but that was back on Thursday. So they've had rest. So I'm not quite sure why they looked a little slow, but we'll take it.
Winless against Anaheim this year. The Ducks have scored 11 goals against them. Not a big deal.
Yeah, in 2 games. Take it. Keep coming back. Why can't they be in our division?
Let's hop into the pregame notes. Ryan Miller, as we just talked about there at the beginning of the show, gets his start, a first start in months, coming off that knee injury he suffered
2 months.
It's been a minute since Miller's seen some NHL action, but he gets his first start. They said in the broadcast almost 70 days. And then a curious situation there as Daniel Sprong gets scratched, healthy scratch tonight there by Bob Murray.
Yeah, and they had said that that's kind of one of the things that Bob Murray's going to do is start holding players accountable. And so now he's a little bit closer and he might be able to see things a little bit differently. And he's willing to go ahead and sit him because he didn't, I guess, like some sort of aspect, or maybe want to give somebody else a crack at it. And it's looking pretty good at this point because, I mean, the team was flying. And quite honestly, almost every line, even the defense was looking good. And I don't say that often.
Right?
Yeah.
Just
pleasant surprise.
Hasn't looked good as a team D. So he's healthy scratch. The way the lines were set up today too, I've liked it. I really liked the injection of youth they brought into the lineup with keeping Max Jones and then Troy Terry up. I thought it was interesting they put him with Adam Henrique, who by the way had a whale of a game tonight, along with oh my gosh, Jakob Silfverberg here. Yeah. Silfverberg on that line with Grant and Shore, and then Richie, Kessler, and Rowney at the bottom. But then they brought back the magical pair on D, which was Hampus Lindholm and Josh Manson. Again, Murray's been doing that. I don't know why. Why did it? We'll get to it in post game, I guess. But I gotta say it real quick. Why did it take all year to see this? Bob, if you knew this was gonna work, why were you letting Randy destroy everything?
I don't think, because at least from what he said in the past too, is he's always been, I'll put the players I think are going to work, but I leave it to the coach to make that decision. My thing is why did Carlisle either fight it so bad, or why are the new assistant coaches now realizing that, oh, hey, maybe this was a good idea. We can abandon the 52 previous game idea. And, so it's kind of weird who was making that final call on who's going to be on defense, because I always thought it was maybe one of the assistant coaches, because it just wouldn't make sense that Randy Carlisle would move away from what worked the season before. Yeah, no,
it was very strange. It's good to see that him bring that back, because I felt like they've looked good together. They've looked pretty good together.
They're still not quite at the same click as they had been last season, but I mean, it's 3-4 games in, and they're getting better and they're making a little bit smarter decisions. We'll just kind of see where it goes from here, but I've been happier with them for sure.
Yeah, and you got to hand out a nice little high five there to Cam Fowler. Had a nice game tonight too. I felt like he didn't look awful. He kind of knew what he was doing tonight, which was nice to see. Had a nice, pretty pass. Yeah. Which we'll get to in a bit. But let's get to the first period before we wait too much longer. Ducks come out flying, Jay. I felt like this first period, the beginning 2 minutes, they had a lot of energy. That's something we've seen since Bob Murray's taken over the team. I feel like the Ducks don't come out flat as much. Yeah. And I think tonight was, no different. I felt like they came out and dominated the first couple of minutes of play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been fun, and the first couple of minutes. I mean, short of what we'll be talking about next, the Ducks were out shooting them like 14-3 through the first 13 minutes of that game, and getting tons of scoring chances, and either just missing or Holtby coming up with some big saves. But out of the gate like that, you don't see the Ducks up 14-3 in shots ever this season. So it was a very nice change of pace for us.
Yeah, and even if it was a little bit of the Ducks getting, I guess, long distance shots and not in from the house, it was nice to see them control the puck that often. And I think they're just at the point right now where if you get enough pucks on net, it's that age-old adage where you put some pucks on it, you score some goals. The old Jim Fox BS. I mean, it's true. It's true. Get the pucks to the front of the net, bang home something. It was good to see them take control of the game for the most part in the first period. But you can't stop Ovi every night. And Ovechkin doing Ovechkin things. A weird power play here or a weird call, rather. Lindholm stands up Ovi like he was kind of iffy on taking the body, goes to take the body, leaves the leg a little out. So kind of hard to blame the official. Ovi jumps over it and falls. It looked like a tripping or clipping play. And Caps go to the power play there.
Yeah, and oddly enough, Ovi gets tripped up. He ends up from his office, ends up squeaking one by Miller. This one actually happens at the exact 2-minute mark, so it doesn't technically count as a power play goal. But if you want to count the other shot he had on that power play, like I said, through the first 13 minutes of the game, they had 3 shots. 2 of them really were on the power play. They only had 1 even strength shot through the first 13 minutes of the game, which just kind of shows at least a little bit of where the play was directed most of the time. So it's hard. He's going to shoot from there. It doesn't matter if he's open. It's just how quickly and how powerful he's able to shoot it through. And Miller, credit almost got there, just squeezed by, and he's done it 40 times this season. So I think only Wayne Gretzky's had more 40-goal seasons in his career, and so Ovi just has to do it 2 more times to catch him on that one.
Just 2 more, just 80
just
more,
2 more.
Ovi. Just 80 more.
They said he's hit 30 goals every single season of his career, and that includes lockout seasons. So the dude is either going to hit somewhere in 30 to 40 to 50 range. So, I mean, this year, 50 is not out of the question.
It's almost like you want to fault Ryan Miller for that goal, but then you realize that Ovi just victimizes every goalie, no matter how good they are, from that same spot with that same shot. He gets so much on that shot. It's such a heavy shot. I mean, Miller has it high, and it still trickles in between the arm and the body. It's like you almost want to be like, "That's a bad goal." Oh, it's Ovi. It's not a bad goal. That's legit. Ovi does that all day.
Yeah, it almost doesn't matter how skilled the goalie is. About the only goalie in the league today that can't get scored on an Ovi shot like that in a game is Holtby. Mm-hmm. So other than that, almost everybody has been scored on that way with Ovi. It's just kind of his office, his home. And until they make slap shots illegal, I just don't see it really slowing down.
No, it's not. He's a monster. It doesn't matter what you
move on.
Exactly. So we move on here throughout the first period. Lindholm with a golden opportunity later in the first, able to walk in. It actually squeezes through Braden Holtbeast, but he doesn't quite have the Ovi power behind that shot, and it's able to be cleared out from the net before going in. Just a couple of notes here. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't cut you off on that.
No. I was just saying, he made the save. He got enough of it, and it was a little bit unfortunate because it just, when it hit, it was kind of on edge, and it just stopped right in the crease instead of like rolling somewhere where it might have been. It just like stopped right there, and then there was no one around for it. But yeah, Ovi's the best at it. Lindholm did his best impression-ish.
Close. Not really.
Yeah, whatever.
He's not as muscular. He's not as crazy and as filled the Russian power that Ovechkin has. Throughout the rest of his first period, I feel like the Ducks played well. I notated here that Henrique and the kids, I thought they looked good right off the hop. Max Jones has been very impressive to me in his call up here in Anaheim. I was kind of worried about that. I was a little sketch behind the Ducks' idea of let's pull the kids away from something successful and going into a Calder Cup playoff when they have a chance. And instead bringing him into this dumpster fire, and they're like, "Here, have fun. Here's some NHL time. Hope it's fun." But they haven't looked out of place. Terry and Jones look good. But I honestly feel like Jones is really noticeable lately. No?
I mean, Jones has got that big body, and he's able to go to the net a lot more.
He has the speed, too.
I think but more less than that. I mean, he's got that mentality of I'm going to go to the net, I'm going to be aggressive, and that's kind of something the Ducks have definitely lacked, and what we're all thirsting for. So when we see it, we encourage it, we applaud it, and we want more of it. Terry, in my opinion, has looked really good. He's far more confident in his abilities and getting the pucks or shots towards the net and just kind of doing little small things and quick. Both of them are obviously quick and they have good chemistry together. So when they're out on a line together, they can make Henrique look good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Henrique had a great game, right? So Let's not take that away from him, too. But the first period ends, Ducks outshoot them 15-7, going on to the second period. A little worried. Second periods have not been the Ducks' friend, and I don't know, man. It feels like the better part of the decade. Whether they were good or not. They've just never played well in the second period. And of course, it would just start with Ovechkin getting a clear-cut breakaway in on Ryan Miller. Miller is able to outweight him, get the leg pad on it. A little bit overzealous on the pinch in of the blue line by Lindholm and Manson there, huh?
Yeah, that was one I saw happen. I'm like, no, don't do that. And then I was like, I was high risk and small reward. It just like, even if they kind of kept it, there really wasn't a whole lot to stay there. So why risk being both caught and then having it just thrown up? I mean, but that's clear cut from the blue line in. Good on Miller to just kind of stay with it, get those. When you kind of come in and it goes to a deke and you're kind of down and out and you're not with it, the idea is that whatever side they're going, you get your skates and you're down on the ground or on the ice you go as quickly as you can to the post. Get your skate to the post. That's what you have to do, and that's what he did. And he barely got enough of it, but he sealed it off at just the right time. So that's kind of what goalies will have to do on breakaways that become dekes.
Well, yeah, on that play, like you said, not a big reward on that risk. High risk play. Lindy was already in the offensive zone, and Manson still stepped up and tried to shoot the puck in. So dangerous play, but Miller is able to come up with the stop. And I felt like he fooled Ovechkin because Miller went in and dropped that leg pad first, and Ovi was like, "What is he doing? Why did he already drop down?" And look, he was gearing up to go in for like a glove save, and then Ovi shows back at him and was like, "I got that deke," and he just slides in and makes the save there.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that as a goalie sometimes. It's weird. You almost just read the play a certain way, and then if it's in a certain situation at a certain time, you can read a play and kind of almost force a shooter into a spot by making him think you're down. So he went down and had his knee down, but then he was already kind of planting his right skate to dig into the ice and help him push so he can get to that post. So he was kind of trying to show that he was down, and since Ovechkin was kind of on that side, he kind of went with that deke. So it was kind of one of those things where he probably went like, all right, I'm going to just kind of lower this and take away his 5-hole chance and make him try and go around or up high or something. And it was a good move to push him to the side, and he very quickly was able to get to that post and seal it off. So, yeah, you're right. He more or less kind of helped that play happen a little bit. He was
going to try to make Ovi shoot high blocker. I felt like on that play, he was going to try to make him go far side, and he wasn't able to do it. So Ovi realized he kind of ran out of the room there. And Bombay and Brett Butler are laughing at you, saying, "Yeah, you're just like Ryan Miller, Jason."
I am totally. No, I'm just saying that's what goalies do. I'm not saying I do that. I can't do that.
In my beer league, I make players bite. Like I'm gonna give them something to take it away. That's always trying.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not up to their standards of what a beer league goalie should be.
Unbelievable. Moving on here, the Ducks give up another partial break to Backstrom this time, not Ovechkin, and I think Miller didn't know where that was, but Backstrom tried to sneak that in 5-hole on him, but he was able to cover that up. And then the Capitals would ice the puck shortly after, and that would turn into the Ducks' first goal of the night. What a play there. Henrique winning the puck back along the wall, gets fed up to Montour, who just bombs a shot in on net going high. So Holtby, of course, is going to play that low, cover the ice. Montour gets a stick on, or Henrique gets a stick on it as it's on its way in. So it goes from high to low and bounces right by Braden Holtby. Not a chance in hell he's stopping that one. Now it's 1-1.
Yeah, there's no way Holtby really kind of stops that one. I mean, obviously, if I was in net, I'd easily have seen that deflection coming before.
Yeah.
And I would have been in perfect position. In fact, I would have had it, shot it down, and scored on Miller. I'm that good. But, that one's a deflection right out in front off of a hard shot. So it got put in a really good spot. And Holtby you could see his arm coming up to try and catch that puck. And the minute went back, and he was like, okay, well, yeah, when you just chalk up that it's a deflection and that's it. No, so it's a good goal. Let it go.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It was something that was just a much-needed goal for Anaheim. Like, you feel like they've had chances like that, and the shot goes high, misses the net, gets stopped in front. They're just not getting pucks through. The offense has been so bad lately on getting chances in on goaltenders. So it was nice to see the Ducks catch a break there and, get a clean deflection. Perfect deflection there by Henrique.
Yeah, like you said, snake bit is a common term where it seems like we're getting some of those chances. They're just not going in. We didn't used to get a lot of them, but we were getting a lot of them this game, it felt like. So second period didn't start necessarily all that great, but it never felt like we weren't playing bad. We weren't playing we weren't playing bad. We were playing well, but we weren't getting rewarded for it. So it's nice to see one of those odd ones go in for us instead of against us, which seems to happen a lot too.
Of course. And you know what? The Ducks would continue to get chances in the second period. What a spectacular save by Braden Holtby on that Getzlaf chance. Getzlaf down low. Could have tapped that in. Could have, would have, should have. But, Holtby doing Holtby things there in the second period. And keeps the score tied right there off the side of the net. Beautiful save.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were just talking about. Is like that one should have gone in, and they ran into an elite goalie like Holtby, who does the splits, loses the stick, and still makes just barely on the heel of the skate. And it was But the only thing you'd wish is maybe either shot it right away, didn't handle it a little bit, or if he kind of put it up high. But at the same time, that looks like a slam dunk even when he shoots it, and it's just that half of a second that Holtby's able to get over.
Yeah, what are you going to do at that point? Did everything he possibly could.
Exactly. Yeah, 99 times out of 100, that's in. So it's the other way. You tip your cap to Holtby to go, yeah, all right, that's kind of why he's one of the best.
Oh, and let's be real for a minute. Getzlaf's used to feeding those pucks to players, not feeding those.
Surprise!
Yeah, he's not used to try. Surprised he didn't try to pass it back. The Ducks keep
Good job, pass it.
Drop pass it to somebody. Strong shifts continue. Shores line with a strong shift. The kid line again with Henrique, a strong shift. And then the Ducks would keep up the pressure. And then the weirdest goal of the night by far has to be this one here. Lindholm's able to knock a loose puck in, keeps it into the blue line there. Feeds Silfverberg, who's on top of the crease by himself, by the way. There's no capital around him. Silfverberg, all in one motion, accepts the pass, launches it back into the high slot to Henrique, who's streaking in by himself, which is really strange. And then we see the broken controller Alexander Ovechkin decide not to skate and stop anybody. He literally has his stick at his side and just coasts in, not defending anybody.
He's not leaning in. He's not, and no effort whatsoever.
What are you doing?
I love it when he does that.
He's already scored my goal. Screw you guys. I don't play defense.
Yeah, right. And that was part of the problem. It looked like he was about to. I think he was looking to flee the zone and get that pass. And then when it didn't happen, he's still kind of like, well, maybe we'll get it back. And he's like, I'll just be in the area at this point.
Whatever. And then Silfverberg gets the puck off a great pass by Henrique and just taps it in off the post. Holtby's just kind of like, what do you want me to do?
When he sits up, he's just like he's sitting on his butt, just looking around. He's like, really, guys? No one?
Nobody around him. Yeah. I don't know if they took a page out of Marty Wilford's book on defense there for the Ducks and just decided to play that one there because that was brutal by the Capitals. Great opportunistic play there by the Ducks to cash in. Ballsy pass by Henrique because I was like, if you pass that and they don't score, that's
ballsy
brutal.
Pass by Silfverberg. There was no one within 15 feet of him, and he's in front. He could have tried 3 or 4 dekes, maybe even 5 before anyone got within a couple of feet of him. So he could have tried to do something. He was flat-footed, but it looked like he had that play in his mind to send it back out to Henrique, was kind of coming in with speed. And then, ballsy move by Henrique to send it back to Silfverberg, and Silfverberg was almost caught. He almost doesn't even put it in. He hits it off the post and in. That would have been one of those things, again, where if it hits the post and bounce out, you're like, really? Had to be us. But it ends up being a highlight reel goal. Nothing Holtby is going to do on that one. That's just horrible defense. That's how I play NHL 19.
Well, that's the thing about the Ducks right here is like if they're a team that's at the top of the league, scoring all the time, if they make something look pretty like that and miss, you're like, whatever, not a big deal. But a team who can't score, that's passing the puck like that, you're just like, please go in. Oh God, please go in. I don't want to deal with this later.
Yeah.
So,
because that'd be a killer if they don't bury that one. That would just absolutely suck.
And for those people, and it's fun to make fun of Ovi that don't understand that defending's not his game. Like he's, people accuse him of being like a one-dimensional player. He doesn't score goals. I'm like, yeah, but he's the best at it. So I think that's okay. If you just have Ovechkin to score a bunch of goals, that's what he does better than anybody else in the NHL. I'm okay with him not knowing how to defend well. I'm okay with it.
He's just solely focused on offense. He's also focused on being physical and physically dominating games. So he has multiple dimensions to what he has, but he's so dominating in that you let pretty much almost everything else slide. Every now and again, he kind of picks himself up and hustles and gets back on a play. You just don't see it that often. And on a game in a day like today, kind of felt like he was trying to look to add to that 40 goals on the season more than he was trying to stop the lowly Ducks. You can't kind of blame him either because the Ducks aren't a team that really scores all that much. So
he probably wasn't worried about it. He's like, they're going to miss it.
He was like, no, I hope he's got this. I was like, another pass. Oh, another pass. Damn. All right.
Well, all right. Okay, now we're losing. Okay.
What else? I'll just go out and score 2 more.
So, and then a somewhat controversial goal goes in a little bit later. This one by the Capitals to tie it up 2-2. Carlson with a shot from the blue line. Didn't look like an ultra dangerous shot. I was kind of surprised Miller kind of lost it. I know there was a tiny bit of traffic in front. Lindholm lifts Ovi's stick. The broadcast seems to think it was deflected there. I didn't see a change in direction. I think Hayward's blind.
Yeah. Hayward, they have that one angle that's from behind Miller. And from that one, the puck looks like it makes, a quick turn almost right as it gets to those guys, and their sticks are going up. You look at it from the other one, their sticks are way above where the puck is by the time it reaches them when you're kind of looking from the sideboards. The shot is actually fluttered. So it's one that's end over end. What happens with that is it can dip, it can turn left, it can turn right. It just depends on it. And that's where the problem was, is this shot was going well high and then dips and shoots to the left. And you can watch it just coming. So it's almost like an optical illusion where it looks like it hit something. At that moment is when it decided to do a flop over to this way, and it barely hits the bottom of the crossbar, goes down. It's easy to fool Miller because his glove can be up here, and all of a sudden it just goes way left and then dips down, and now you're trying to track something high and in the middle. It's just a fluky goal. It's not one that's really easy to find. It's almost like a deflection. It's just hard to read where that puck's going on shots like that. It was just end over end. Those are their killers.
Were you worried about the elbow in the corner? People were making a fuss about on Twitter. Tom Wilson came in for an elbow and hit Derek Grant on the play where the puck goes up the wall. If you watch the replay, they both go into the corner. It was a hit. I didn't really see like a chicken wing. He came in and shouldered him, and I wasn't upset about it.
Tom Wilson's a big guy, so whether it's an elbow or not, generally speaking, if he crunches you into the boards, you're probably going down. And he was doing Tom Wilson things. He creates space for people. He is kind of there as an intimidation factor because he is such a big guy and a hitter and a fighter if he needs to. And he crunched Grant and ends up causing the turnover that gets the puck right to Carlson, who flings it home. So you can call it borderline, but it didn't strike me as anything too terrible. Like, you could have called a penalty, or you may not call it.
About Tom Wilson, like he's done some dumb things, and he's paid a pretty price for it, especially this season, deservedly so with the suspensions. Yeah. But there's not a single GM in the NHL who wouldn't want him on their team. He's the kind of guy that you want floating around scary, going into corners when he's on his game, not trying to headhunt. But when he's on his game and can play, that guy can play, and he's a good powered forward. When he's chicken winging guys flying through the zone like this, that's a little bit of a problem. You don't want to do that.
When he's running into goalies like he does later in the game.
Perry's there too.
I know, yeah. We can talk about that now because I don't really fault him too much on it. You get suspended enough, you'll get a reputation. And if people are kind of looking at what you're doing and look at your game and trying to look for where you cross the line. So people might be looking a little bit too into that. You're right. Most teams and GMs and fans would really like a clean version of Tom Wilson on their team. Not for what they're paying him, but definitely they wouldn't mind having a guy there.
You don't want to pay $5 million for 35 points? That's strange.
Yeah, and if he's on another team that's not with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, it's a little bit more difficult to see if he can even get close to that in points. So,
I agree with you. So getting out of the second period, it's all tied up 2-2. Shots are 25-17 in favor of Anaheim. Getting into the third period here. So the Ducks have a power play in the beginning of the third period and somehow cash in on it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable to me. Holtby makes a mistake, a big mistake in front. There's a scramble in front of the net, and he starts to swim rather than sit put and build the wall on the crease. He reaches for a puck and slides a leg back to go to cover. And at that exact moment, Adam Henrique pokes the puck, and it goes right by Braden Holtby, and that's all she wrote. That's a 3-2 game now for Anaheim. Tisk, Holtby, play your position. Don't go swim.
I think it was. I think that whole play was just a bunch of broken plays all kind of together.
Oh, the puck was bounced. It was like a ping pong ball in the middle.
It was everywhere. There were legs everywhere. Henrique actually gets an initial shot that Holtby actually gets with his pad, and then it sits about a foot or two. And that's scary no man's land for a goalie because you have to reach way down there to go get it, and you have to do it quick. And if you look at that replay, Henrique does an amazing job. He actually like sticks his stick in between a defender and pokes it just before the glove goes down, and it goes right past him on the far side. You can see Holtby going, damn it, because I know that's just like when you're trying to grab it and you're trying as quick as you can because you know you're leaving yourself just a little bit open. But he played the percentage of trying to cover it. Otherwise, he's going to have more rebounds and more chaos. And so I think he was just instinct, go to grab, missed, and Henrique did an awesome job getting in there very quick, like a surgeon. Just sliced in there, boom, goal. So
you're right. You could probably totally see it on his face because Holtby is literally like this, like waiting, and then he's like, I'm going to grab it.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, before he loses it, I mean, because he could easily lose it in all those legs, and then he's guessing and swimming where it's going to go after that. At least he sees it; it's close enough to try and grab, and he's just frustrated he couldn't get there quick enough.
A brutal play for him. That's unfortunate, really. Yeah. So the Ducks go up 3-2 on that. Perry and Getzlaf getting the assist. That's Corey Perry's first point back and first point this season.
How have you felt about his play?
I was just going to ask you the same thing.
No, I asked you first.
I don't know. I really felt like this was probably his best game, and not just because of the score sheet. I just felt like he looked his best. But it's tough to tell. I mean, I would rather come and revisit and give like a real legit opinion on Corey Perry, who I've been very critical of prior to the season, after about a couple of weeks. And to see how he's done. They're going to go on the road here, see how he does on the road. I'd say give it 10 to 12 games before you come in and attack Corey Perry's play. That's a tough injury to come back from. That's a reconstructed knee. He's missed over 50 games. Like, you can't just come in and just crap all over his play. Even if he didn't score tonight and didn't play great tonight, I would be like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. I would love to come back and revisit this in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying he's knocking it out of the park. He's not scoring every night, but like you said, being a little critical. I was critical before the season started. After the injury, I was like, you're not going to say anything close to the same Corey Perry. And I think I've seen pretty close to the Corey Perry from last year, but able to put in some goals, be, a little bit. He's more of a pest in front of the net now and has more of a willingness to drive to the net than I've seen in the last couple of seasons, which is good. And that's what I want to see him do. Be nice if some of those goals start going in or get some assists, but he's been in the right spot, and that's what I've been happy with. I was afraid he'd shy away or he'd just be on the fringes. At least he's in there and kind of making a pest of himself, and he landed right on Tom Wilson's head after Wilson ran over Miller. It was going to keep going after him too, and then he saw it was a penalty, so I was like, all right, I'll get up.
You can go away. It's okay. I'll leave you alone.
Yeah. So I've actually been impressed. I give it a B- on his play. It's not upper echelon, but I don't think he's hurting the team by being out there, and he used to be hurting the team when he played. Did you turn your mic off? Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, I guess I did.
You did.
I actually muted every once in a while because there was noise outside my door. But yeah, no, I actually am not disappointed with this play at all. I really don't feel like he's hurting the team whatsoever. But like I said, I'll come back and revisit his overall play in a couple of weeks. But the Ducks go back on the power play. The broadcast seemed to notice that the Caps were slow tonight because they mentioned it quite often. And I got to say, this third period did not look like a team that wanted to storm back and take the game away from Anaheim. The Ducks very handily and very easily, I felt like, took the game back to the Caps. And, the kid line was doing a lot of it. Every time that Jones and Terry were on the ice, they're flying around, no problems at all getting into the zone, creating chances with that speed. And Terry ends up drawing a penalty there. So back to the power play. And this is where we get to the skating ability of Cam Fowler. I'm not going to talk about his defensive capability as of late because haven't really given him enough time to turn it around since Murray's taken over, if that's even going to change anything. But what a play here by Cam Fowler on this goal. Skating in on the far side, on the right side, dropping in, keeps his hips open the whole time, so he's looking for a pass or a shot, and then just basically takes a page out of Ryan Getzlaf's book and just zips a perfect feed over to Corey Perry, all clear cut across the ice, splitting the penalty killers for the one-timer. Holtby just doesn't even have time to even do anything. By the time he turns, it's already coming out of the net. What a play by Cam Fowler to make it 4-2, man. Just a beautiful play and a nice shot by Perry to finish it off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned, just opening the hips a little bit when you're a skater like that. It does a couple of things. One, it makes all the defenders kind of hold back because they're not sure if it's a pass or if he's going to just continue on and maybe make a chance. You leave yourself open. Crosby does this really well when he's around the net, and it's hard to hit. It's hard to pick up what they're going to do. Same for a goalie. Goalie's thinking, I'm not sure if he's looking off my defenders. What are my defenders going to do with this? But that was just a perfect pass because even if it was, a little bit slower, a little bit in a different spot, other than what it was, Holtby could probably get over there. He actually had his stick kind of in the area, even though he was down and out. And that's a Holtby-like thing to do, to somehow get it with the heel of his stick on a play he has no business stopping. So, and all in one motion, Perry fires it. And that's also another key. It's just, it was bang, bang, quick play. But Fowler's game was noticeably good offensively, the skating ability. I saw him jump in on a lot of plays. If it didn't work out, he was skating back out of the zone really well. I thought him and Delzato actually played a very decent game. But also to the point, Washington is one of the worst teams in the third period going into this game. Their goal differential was minus 16. All the other ones, they're pluses in the first and second by tens of goals. So it's not a team that plays all that well in the third period. We got to see that firsthand last time they played, and the Ducks came storming back for a 6-5 win against Washington. I think they're down, 4 goals, 5-1 or something like that, and they came back to win it. So the Ducks were just absolutely flying. I know Oshie didn't play in that third period too, and that can sometimes create havoc in the lineup.
Oh, he's a valuable player. I'm sure
especially
that
on the
caused some
power
sort of
play.
problem there.
Yeah.
So the Ducks go up 4-2. Caps can't stay out of the box. They take another penalty, but the Caps are easily able to kill that one as well. But the Ducks continue to push, and the Ducks get another goal. Their 5th goal of the night goes to Jakob Silfverberg. Who else would it go to tonight? Really, I mean, besides maybe going to one of the kids who I thought pushed really hard, but Jakob Silfverberg had a whale of a game, and this shot was just, Holtby, his expression on his face after this one, and Grant comes up the wall, puck gets deflected, the defender goes to take out Grant. He has no puck support behind him, which is really unfortunate for Braden Holtby because that's Jakob Silfverberg. Carlson's out of position already, and he just rips it over the shoulder, and it's 5-2.
Yeah, a couple of keys to that one is one, I didn't know that Jakob Silfverberg is also an NBA player because that was a hell of a jump for him to get all the way up. He had to get every little bit of that frame to just get it and then be able to drop it down. Puck kind of rolls, which makes the shot even more incredible, the fact that it wasn't really flat and in his wheelhouse. The second part of it was the quickness. You mentioned Holtby's reaction to it. He barely moved that. He barely moved that glove, and it was already top shelf and in. It was put in a beautiful spot. Water bottle goes flying, which everyone loves to see.
Everyone loves that.
Yeah, Holtby is just like he tried to raise it, but he already knew it was past him, and he wasn't deep. He was a solid 2 or 3 feet out top of the crease. He challenged, and that shot was so fast and just right off of there. There was just. There's no time to react in that situation. They're too close, and he just roofed it. It was beautiful.
Well, when you buzz the tower like that, you put it by a goalie's head, and that's a tough shot no matter what. And the fact that he was able to release it like that, it just made all the difference, like you said, man. No matter what, Holtby would have to be a foot in front of him to stop that. He would have to be close to take that away.
Yeah, either that or he'd have to guess that it was going there already. And the fact that the puck wasn't sitting flat, that's hard to read already because you're not quite sure where that puck might even go. It may not even go where Silfverberg was planning on putting it. And, so you're kind of almost in a reactionary state. And when it's shot that fast from that close in that spot, you once again tip the cap. But it was so funny. All I can still see is Holtby's expression because they have the camera from all the way down. And he doesn't even look at the puck. It just goes in. He just sits there and goes,
there it is.
Wow. All right. Well, there's 5. Awesome. He just sat on his knees for a while, didn't move, just kept staring forward blankly.
Like I said in our notes here too, it just looked like after I saw that I wrote Caps just looked defeated because they did. After that, it just kind of felt like it was over. Grant would hit a post later in the third period to come close to make it at 6-2, but the game would end 5-2. Very much improved game from Anaheim. Not the greatest defensive game, but my God, was it nice to see the offense be able to get turned on there, man. It really felt good to watch this game and be like, yeah, I got to cheer tonight. Holy crap.
yeah. I told my wife, no. Put away those depression pills. I got a good one today.
This is a good one.
Yeah. You can put that away. You know what? Put it in the medicine cabinet. It might stay there for a while. I don't know. That's me being extra optimistic, but
put it on the Tuesday shelf. We might need a Tuesday.
Yeah, the Tuesday shelf. Yeah, wait till the next game. But what I also liked, it felt a much more complete game from the Ducks. Their scoring chances were crazy in the third period over that. It's like they got the fifth goal. And I'm so used to seeing the Ducks, if they somehow have a lead in the third period, it's prevent defense. I don't care if it's 1-0, 2-1, whatever the score is. If they're up by one or more, they just go into a shell. They just try and clog the middle, and they stop whatever was working or possibly working. After we were up 5-2, we're still getting chances. And I saw one particular moment where I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't seen this before this season. And that was the Ducks are up. There's maybe 4 minutes left. We're up by 3 goals. Their guy goes behind the net, holds onto the puck, just kind of standing there, not really doing anything. They would put Kessler right in front of Holtby and then 2 other players guarding the wings. We had 3 guys in the offensive zone, not necessarily forechecking or pushing the issue, but we weren't all back, giving them an outlet to try and figure things out. It was just, we're still in your face. We're still here. So you better start playing because we're not leaving. And that was just nice feeling, cool to kind of see. It was just different. And I like that, Ducks.
Would you ever have thought going into this game that the Ducks would actually outchance the Capitals in the house, the high danger area, 19-7 in all situations?
Nope.
Holy hell! Right?
I can't believe that we were out shooting them that 14-3 in the first, and they only had really one even strength shot. I thought that was just already amazing. So it was a pleasant surprise. And no, I would not have pictured that before this. I would have pictured, it's a special ceremony night. They'll disappoint in a very big way.
The Ducks almost controlled 62% of the scoring chances in this game, outshot the Capitals 39-25. I love trolling our friends on our group text. I totally was bashing the Ducks offense and that, and he comes right back and gets upset. And I'm like, I'm over here laughing because this is a great game. Offensively, it was a great game for Anaheim. A couple of defensive lapses. But Miller was able to wash those up. That's what happens. It's the course of a game. You can't be perfect. The Ducks are far from it. But their offense tonight was a beautiful thing, and it came against a pretty good opponent. And whether that opponent had an off night or not, I'm taking it because it was fun to watch. The kid line, man, it looked good. They were the second best line, according to my favorite stat, the analytics stats, looking at all of the scoring chances and the possession stats. They were the second best line to the Getzlaf line. Getzlaf, Perry, and Raquel played very, very well tonight. Very, very well. So, I mean, even I think it was Eric Stevens or Elliot Tieford, one of the two on Twitter, was like, Getzlaf's line doing something we saw 5 years ago tonight. It's just playing that good.
Yeah, and they kept it in the zone too. They had a lot of good keeps on defense. I mean, there was multiple chances within a single shift where, once again, that's not what has been the norm for the Ducks. It's been maybe get a shot on goal if you're lucky, and it's one and done. The other team's usually got it, or it's immediately back out, and then we're defending for the next 25 minutes. So it was definitely good on a lot of different levels, a lot of different lines. Everyone was really pitching in, and it was a very complete team game in my opinion. I thought every line had moments where they shined really well.
Yeah, and to the fancy stat lovers, the best defender on the ice was Cam Fowler, which is something we haven't talked about all year.
He was flying, man. He was flying.
Cammy there. And you mentioned it a minute ago. We haven't even talked about it because this game was so action-packed. But this was Scott Niedermayer night. The Ducks retired the 3rd jersey in the history of the organization tonight, and we didn't even mention it because this game was a win in an exciting fashion. It wasn't like this; they stumbled to victory. It was actually somewhat of a pretty dominant performance. But now we get to talk about an all-time great. We get to talk about number 27 who got lifted up to the rafters. Your and my favorite Korean Solani were there tonight, as well as many others in the ceremony. Man, what a night! What a night for Scott Niedermayer. I think he really, really deserved it. I mean, shoot, you want to talk about winning a cup, but those stories they were telling about him, guiding him through the playoffs and telling him don't go after Daniel Alfredsson. We're not here to do that.
I like how they didn't name him, but how do I feel about the night?
How do you feel about Scotty? Yeah, how do you feel about him? Like, is he somebody you felt should have gone up in the rafters? And was it awesome for you, or how did you feel about it?
Somewhat conflicted in that sense as far as should he go in the rafters. Yeah, Hall of Famer. In my opinion, top 3 defensemen to ever play the game. I got to throw Orr, Lundstrom, and him in there.
So it's definitely Nicholas Lidstrom, Scott Niedermayer, and then Bobby Orr, right?
You just like to say that to piss off a few of our friends. But in no particular order, I have them all 3 up there. They all did the game better than anybody else. So anyways, the thing is, so to not take away from him, it's hard for me to go for a guy who is known for his time with another team. And yeah, he came over and he was great and he was our captain for the seasons he was here. And without him, there's no way we win the cup. So I tip the cap to that. It's just not something I'd really say, well, that jersey should never be worn by another Ducks player ever again. That's just one where I kind of go, that makes sense in New Jersey, maybe, where we won 3 cups, but not necessarily here. But, I'm not going to say.
Is he not, without a doubt, the greatest defenseman to ever wear a Duck sweater?
Yeah. Like I said, top 3 all time, unless we have Lindstrom and Orr on here. But I would say, I think they did it because he was also the captain. He was the best defense. Yeah, best defenseman, that we've ever had, talent-wise and leadership-wise. But
he won the contest.
At the same time, I feel a jersey retirement is what he has done over his career playing with that organization. And though you can add Stanley Cup and captain and a very skilled player, it's just he wasn't here for 13 years or 10 years or something like with Korea and Solani.
So that's what I was going to get to. He played 5 years.
Yeah.
And he was captain for all 5 of those years. Mm-hmm. Had he played 10, is your opinion different?
Yeah, I would. If he played 10 and we got 10 years of watching that greatness, don't get me wrong, loved the 5 years that we got with him. It doesn't have to be 10 years. I think if he was there 7, 8, I might be nitpicking. I just feel more comfortable if it was 7, 8, or close to half or majority of your career. Solani will always be known as a Duck. Korea will always be known as a Duck. Scott Niedermayer will be known as a Duck, but more known for everything he did in New Jersey.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming with that. He's definitely one of the greats, but I could see your point of view on that. Great night for Scotty, though. Lots of memories of him just being able to take control of the game. So many times, remember you and I growing up watching the Ducks play. Then when he came to Anaheim, and then bringing the cup in, his first year as the Mighty Ducks captain, and not quite getting there, right? Losing to Chris Pronger, and then we get Chris Pronger, and then they together bring it around. But it was always a calming factor. I remember you watch a game, the game gets tight, they play Scott Niedermayer for 25 minutes. You're like, oh, well.
Exactly. He could just take all that pressure off and just change a game by just a shift where he maybe just lollygags for a little bit. Doesn't quite do anything. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, there's a lane. And he just beelines through there, creates a chance. All of a sudden, whatever momentum was going against them, it's going the other way. And he could. We say how great of a skater Kev Fowler is. Scott Niedermayer was even more effortless. He could skate backwards faster than he could skate forward, and that's insane. And he was just smart about everything. So you can't replace that intelligence. And it's one of those things where it's like, that shot's coming, and he'll just like knock it down with his stick. Before now it's so commonplace with eye-hand coordination. He could do that all the time. He would make the poke check at the right time. The leg would be in the way for a block at the right time. He'd find the open guy, or he'd be that open guy, or he'd just be on the side of the net and the puck shoots right to him. Somehow he gets it and it goes in.
His first year with Anaheim, he had 63 points. Second year, 69 points was the year they won the cup. Just unbelievable effort from him year in and year out here in Anaheim. And throughout his career, he was just an outstanding performer. So it was nice to see his jersey get retired. We'll definitely have fan questions about other players being retired and other questions coming in, which we'll get to. Just a couple more post-game notes before we get to those. But Eric Stevens asked on Twitter, after Jakob Silfverberg scored his second of the night, getting his team leading 15th, his third in his last 4 games, trade sign was the Twitter message there by Eric Stevens. And I know that I think you and I, Eddie, are all on the same page. I'm still trading him at this point in his career, just based on his age and what he's expecting. If this is a 21-year-old Jakob Silfverberg, sign him. Yeah. If it's a 28 Jakob Silfverberg, as we turn 29, trade him. And that's just what he is.
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm not as 100% sold on the idea, but I think it's the right one either way. I almost want him to be better. I think for the same reasons that Bob Murray is really reluctant to trade him and just wants to re-sign him. At least that's what it's been said, that he's working on re-signing him. I think it's because they traded away Bobby Ryan, and he was the other piece coming back, and that's the piece we were hoping could do better. He is streaky. He does get injured from time to time. He does have a streaking goal scoring wise, at least. He's a good two-way forward, which there's value there as well. But yeah, I think the window for what he can do is probably past. But when he has games like this and he's doing it in front of Bob Murray, who's on the coach, that probably ends up going a long way for Bob Murray, and especially if the Ducks keep winning and he's a contributor of that. You'll probably try and see him re-sign him if he can. I still don't think it's
playing to Silfverberg's hand more though. Like, look how much money I'm worth. I'm the only guy scoring. I lead your team in goals, Bob.
It really depends what Bob's mindset is. And I don't know if him being a coach now and then the team's actually looking decent, if he's starting to go like, well, hey, we're only 5 points out of a playoff spot now. Do we want to trade our top goal scorer and, at least maybe try and make it into the playoffs? Who knows? I don't think it's the right avenue. But now that he's a coach and he's in there, he might like the fact that he's winning and might want to try and bump up his coaching credentials before he calls it quits after the season. I don't know. It just depends what he wants to do, where he feels the team is. But he's usually pretty good at reading where the team is and if they're worth it. And he's not really going to do anything that's going to hurt them long term. So if he signs them, he's going to probably try and sign him for cheap, and hopefully that cheapness will, and he gets back to goal scoring a little bit more often.
Silfverberg's literally going to look at Ryan Kessler's contract and look at Ryan Kessler's stats and be like, "What's up, man? I think I drove that bus. I don't think Kessler drove that bus when we were good. I think I did. Look how good I am."
No.
You're going to pitch everything you possibly can if you're Jacob Silfverberg's agent as to how much of a better hockey player he is and deserves $6 million, which I think is probably what he's going to ask for. Yeah. I've heard they were far apart. It's hilarious that you heard from insiders that they're far apart, and then you hear Bob Murray, "Oh, we're gonna sign him," and then Silfverberg's like, "I don't want to go anywhere else." Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. They play it all in front of the press, and that's the game that they all end up playing. But it's a little tough for me to think that all of a sudden we sign Silfverberg for $5 or $6 million, and he's going to start producing 50, 60 points, and he's going to be a goal scoring threat. Because he's got a good shot. It just, in my opinion, he's a little too streaky and unreliable. And if there's still someone who wants to try and take him at the trade deadline, you can get good returns for it. It just depends what the market is. I think it'll happen really quick depending on who is the bigger free agent or trade that happens at the trade deadline. And teams start to try and react to that. And there may not be a lot of defensive forward two-way players that can should be able to score goals like Silfverberg. So it could be a rental for somebody that's willing to trade a high draft pick.
It's just going to come down to what he's going to be worth come trade deadline, right? It's just, and that you're going to want that draft pick. That's what Bobby's going to want to grab if he's going to grab anything. He's going to want a first round pick. Let's go ahead and get to our fan questions here. We're almost at the hour mark, so let's get started on those. Actually, real quick, anybody who booed, if you were at the game tonight and listening to the show, and you had the balls to boo when Scott Niedermayer was giving credit to Randy Carlyle for coaching the 06-07 Stanley Cup team, you can F right off. Let it go. Yeah. That was the happy days. Don't crap on the happy days. Just because Carlyle doesn't fit in today's NHL doesn't mean that you have to go boo him from 12 years ago. Let it go. It's ridiculous.
I can't believe you're a Carlyle sympathizer. You had me cool, man.
Are you kidding me? Cool. I got so much crap on YouTube for crapping on the organization about that. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah. The only reason I would think fans might do it, two, there could be the uneducated fans, know just a little bit and wanted to yell at the coach, but it might have also been the fans only time to voice their opinion on Carlisle, and so maybe they did it. I don't think it's a real smart thing. It pulls away from everything Scott Niedermayer's doing.
There was like crap on the internet saying that was going to happen. I'm like,
yeah, mob mentality, yeah, let's do it, and it didn't matter, The only way that gets avoided is either if the team wasn't sucking or if Carlisle was fired a long time ago.
Did you find it hilarious that Paul Kariya didn't get booed, but Randy Carlisle, who wasn't even there, got booed during Scott Niedermayer's jersey retirement ceremony?
Why would Kariya get booed?
Because of all the stuff that happened prior. Like, everyone was saying, we're going to go there and boo him, F him. You're never welcome back to the pond. I was like, oh, God. And then we were there and nothing happened. Yeah. Scotty says Carlisle. And everyone's like, ooh, it was like 5 or 6.
It's a little too soon. So like I said, I think maybe it's a few people that just wanted to voice their opinion because they don't feel heard, or it took so long, so they wanted to just get their last little jab. I'm not condoning it, I'm just saying that's a possibility. I found it funny though that like everyone else had prepared statements, and then Solani was just riffing whatever he could with Paul and just trying to come up with. Kept looking back at him, trying to talk to him. It's like, dude, everyone's like facing forward. At least Paul's a good sport, and so is Niedermayer. But it was kind of funny just watching them both go up there, and you got jokester and improv master extraordinaire over here, and you got Paul Kariya just trying to reel him in.
Good, got to keep control of Timu.
Yeah.
So one of the questions on Instagram here is, why is Corey Perry so effing good? That comes from Ice Tigers Forever. I think Corey Perry used to be really effing good, and had a good game tonight for sure. That's what I'd say about him.
Yeah,
it was good to see him score, man, and he was stoked about it.
Yeah, I love the way he scored, dude. Yeah, he scored, and then he almost had the stick, like he holstered it. Yeah, he put the sword away like a Three Musketeers on one knee, giving a good little point over to Cam Fowler. Thanks for that pass.
Oh, dude, he loved that. He followed him.
Yeah, he was holding that pose for a while.
Pointed right at him. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised how he's playing, but we'll see, kind of going forward if he kind of gets anywhere close to what he was maybe a couple of years ago. But he's looking better, in my opinion, better than I would have thought.
Then Chris Valdivia from Instagram says, with the Ducks now having 5 points back, do you see them still having a shot at the last wildcard spot? Yes, and I don't think they should go for it though. I don't think that should be any indication. They've played this bad for how long, and their 5 points back should tell you a lot about the division, and should let you know that them going to the playoffs does nothing but bring in a couple extra bucks. They're still going to get dominated come playoff time.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that they are that close. In my opinion, yes, same thing. They can make it in. I would be surprised if they make it in, unless this team really has kind of turned a corner. And I won't say turned a corner, but a light switch kind of turned on inside them. That Carlisle firing might have done something to just kind of get their butts in gear, or having Bob Murray behind the bench get their butts in gear, because this team has always had the talent. Like on paper, they looked good. I mean, they should be playing a lot better than they have this whole season. I'm starting to see some of that, but I'm not sold. It's too little, too late, in my opinion. They got a lot of ground to make up, and the fact their goal differential is just god awful. I mean, if they could play the Capitals like the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, they have a great chance.
Then they'd be awesome. But even if they get in and it's in a wild card spot, you're looking at Vegas, San Jose, or Calgary at this point. Although we've had great success against Calgary in past seasons, this is a better, quicker Calgary team than we've been used to seeing. So I don't think it bodes well, because they lose out on a lot of good draft picks that they could possibly get. All just to get into the playoffs and probably be bounced in the first round, a la last year.
So Chad Clevenger from Instagram, he wrote to us and said, "Is Henrique the new Kessler?"
No, you're talking about two different types of players.
Well, I mean, like, I guess in like production level, I guess you could say
he's going
to take that role.
I think he's the number 2 center right now, and that used to be Kessler's job. Kessler was a face-off wizard. Henrique is average. Kessler is far more defensive and an agitator that could also plot goals, and a shutdown guy. Henrique can play responsibly on defense. He doesn't put up as many points or as many goals as Kessler has in the past. So
I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I mean, they don't play. They're not the same players, in my opinion. Henrique has moments where he can shine and score goals and looks a lot more offensive, but he's not as gritty or grindy, I would say, as Kessler is. You're not going to really see Henrique too often bury his nose, like on that power play goal where he scored. He was kind of outside and just kind of knifing in with the stick. He wasn't in on top of it, holding people up, trying to kick it loose, getting in goalie's face. It's not really Henrique's style. So I think he's our number 2 center kind of moving forward, but if he's not traded, but he brings different things than Kessler does. And I'd rather have
he's
Kessler
a 20-goal guy. He's a 20-goal guy every year. Henrique, except for this season, he's only got 10. The rest of the team's been pretty bad. But I mean, last year, 2017, 2018, he had 24 goals and 26 points, or 26 assists for 50 points. Season prior, 40 points. Season prior, 50. Season 43 again. Season 43 again. So he's a productive guy. I think he's definitely that second line center. He's not he's not an elite center by any means, but he's a role center, and I think he's really good at his role. But like you said, I think Kessler in his prime was more of a shutdown guy who could also score. He's a better two-way defender and offensive guy.
I think he had a 40-goal season at one point. So
Ryan Kessler?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I mean, I think that was back in the Vancouver days. But, his progressions or his point production is fallen off as his injuries have kind of taken over. He's also not playing as many games. So I think he's moved. Like I said, I think Henrique's moved into the second center role, but I don't think he's the next Kessler, because that's not a skill set. His skill set's not that grindy agitator type.
Let's see. Let's get over to Twitter and see if we got anything there. If not, we can hop into chat. I can't see YouTube chat. Eddie, if you want to pop in somehow, somewhere, if you're watching YouTube and you want to throw them in our Twitter DMs, it would be great. But if not, that's okay. I got to ask you. Bombay in our chat said that Ryan Miller is 50 wins away from breaking, which seems like a lot, because it is. 50 wins away as a goaltender is a lot, especially at Ryan Miller's age. From breaking into the top 10 all time for goaltenders, do you think he does it?
No, not that he's. It depends if he wants to keep playing. It's going to be hard for teams to want to take him unless it's a backup role. It's going to be really hard for him to be a starter. And he's also very selective of where he wants to go. He doesn't want to leave Southern California. His wife is an actress, so his family's here. It's where he wanted to be 2 or 3 years ago. But the Ducks, they had Freddie and they had Gibby, so they didn't really have room for him. So he went to Vancouver for a little while. So now he got an opportunity to be backup. That's his new role. It's extremely difficult unless he plays another 4 seasons as a backup, and someone wants him as a backup for 4 years, where he can maybe get into that 50 win mark. So it'd be tough for him to crack the top 10, in my opinion. Not impossible, because you look at what he's doing at 38, he looks like a stud still. So, but it's going to be a tall order, because he's not playing number 1 goalie unless he's just not going to be playing in Southern California, and that's where he wants to play.
So Garrett on Twitter says 5 points out of a playoff spot with 23 games left. The team tonight looked like a team that should be in the playoffs and could actually make it past the first round. Is it too late, or do the Ducks have time to work their magic? I think that tonight, Jay, I feel like tonight was just a good night. Things kind of went their way against a Caps team that wasn't playing well. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Anaheim, but to think that they're going to come in and make some noise in the playoffs is a big ask of this lineup, even if they sneak in, it's a big ask.
Yeah, once again, like I said earlier, when they get in, they're still in trouble. They can't compete against Vegas. They have yet to show me anything against Vegas that makes me think they can.
I think they've beaten Vegas once.
One time. Other than that was last year. Other than that, when they play them, they get dominated. Absolutely. Whether you get blown out score wise, or they just are barely able to see them way in front of them. I mean, they just can't play that speed against that team. San Jose is better than they were last year as far as personnel, and we got swept in the first round. And the Ducks were arguably a much better team at the end of last season when they kind of charged into the playoffs than they are now. And so I don't think they compete against San Jose. And Calgary might be the only one, only just because we have maybe that swagger against them. But other than that, on
good.
paper, once again, that's a long shot. So if those are your prospects of getting in, you're not going far. So I don't care if they're playing a little bit well right now. Washington is not playing well, so you can't, unless I'm seeing this consistently against teams in our division or conference, I'm reserving judgment that they're going to get in, and if they're going to get in and actually be good. Because once you get into tournament style or you get the playoff format, it's easy to start cracking down and tighten things down, and they're already tough to score goals.
So Brett says, why can't we even tank properly? This team could be great. Drops to the bottom of the pack. This team can land Hughes. Starts playing real hockey again. That's how we feel too. That's exactly how I feel too.
That's a good point. I don't think anyone wants to tank, and especially right now, the Ducks have been told by Bob Murray, he's like, show me something. Because if you're not showing me something, I'm moving you. And, it even seems like he's willing to ask Getzlaf to waive his no trade. I don't think he would. But, I mean, it kind of, seems like anything's a possibility at this point. So that's a quick way to light a fuse under someone's ass and get them playing again, whether it's for the next contract or if it's to stay here in your home.
So Tabernac on Twitter says, Terry, Jones, and Shore have had some really great chances and sequences lately. What are your guys' opinions of their gameplay as of late, and is anyone else standing out to you? For me, it's Max Jones. He's a guy I've noticed every single night since he started playing, period. And Devin Shore has been okay. He's had some chances here and there. He's definitely not the dynamic type when you're looking at a Terry or Jones prospect level player. But Max Jones, for my money, has been the kid that looks so ready to jump up to the NHL next season. Yeah,
he's one. Terry, in my opinion, he's there too. He's got the speed. He's got a good shot. He's like I said, he's now at a point where he knows he can kind of play in the NHL. But when he's out there, he's hustling after pucks. He's doing a forecheck. I mean, just a lot of things are going right with both of those guys. Like you said, Shore, he's kind of hit or miss. He can play well some nights he doesn't. Same with Sprong. I like him as well. And even Derek Grant. They're not as consistent, in my opinion, as the Terry and Max Jones. Max Jones has more of the body and the style that the Ducks like to play. But they're here next season, in my opinion. I don't see why you keep him in the AHL since they dominate down there anyways. And they play really well together. So I feel that those are the guys that you're kind of looking right now, a glimpse at the future.
Yeah, it's a good one for those two players, in my opinion, as well. McCann says, is there an unwritten rule where if a jersey number isn't retired, players still respect a particular one enough not to wear it? That's a tough one because I think it depends more or less where you play. I feel like at a big market like Boston, you're not going to wear a jersey number that maybe is beloved there. But if you come to Anaheim, and besides number 8, I think any number was available prior to that. That's the only one that no one was going to touch.
Yeah. I don't think so because everyone kind of moves on at some point, and as far as their careers, and unless they were beloved and played exceptionally well for a long period of time. Like for example, you could even say, for a lot of people, Cogliano is that person that a lot of fans really adored. But I guarantee you, at some point, somebody else will come in and wear a Cogliano number. At some point, you can't. You'll have so many players play over so long a period of time that you can't just, out of respect, even though it's not in the rafters, I'm not going to do it. You're going to start running out of numbers at some point. The way the Ducks are retiring numbers nowadays, they may run out of numbers anyways. But, it'll be kind of generational. So, I mean, you maybe don't see a Cogliano replacement next season or the season after. But you start talking 4 or 5 years down the road, people who don't really remember Cogliano or weren't fans when he was around or for the whole time he was around, there's not that belovedness on the number anymore. So unless it's something that's in the rafters, I think every number is pretty much fair game. Maybe give it its due time if the player just left. But
so another question that has come through chat was, how close are we to seeing Jean-Sébastien Giguère getting retired?
That's the one I probably would have pegged ahead of Niedermayer just because of how great Giguère played. It's, during his tenure here and the fact that he was won a Conn Smythe in the year that we didn't win the Cup, which is very rare for the losing team to have the MVP of the playoffs get the Conn Smythe. But then he was arguably one of our best players, if not for Scott Niedermayer, in the Cup run. And once again, he's one of those guys that I couldn't consider him to be an all-star or a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. I think he's, a little bit below that. He was dominant for such a long time. But I also feel that he's one of those guys that he was good enough and almost Hall of Fame worthy. And you know him because of what he did in Anaheim. He was an Anaheim Duck. It's not what he did in Calgary or not what he did in Toronto or Colorado. It was what he did in Anaheim. So I would have pegged him probably before I would have taken Scott Niedermayer. But you kind of splitting hairs a little bit. That's just my take on how retiring a number should work.
I could see that. I would agree with you. I think John Sebastian Giguère probably should have went before Scotty. We probably should have went before Scott Niedermayer. I agree.
Do you think?
I think a lot of fans
retired.
Yeah, I think you have to kind of retire Giguère.
It'll be a few years out from here, but yeah.
I mean, he didn't have the most amazing numbers, right? In his career, he wasn't like at the same level Teemu Selanne or Scott Niedermayer were for their position when they played. Which, I mean, right? But I mean, I think with jersey retirement is more or less kind of like, what have you done for the team, not what have you done for the league. And so we're not asking Giguère to go to the Hall of Fame. We're asking Giguère to go to the rafters in Anaheim, which is a lot more feasible when you're talking about greatness. If you're talking about greatness on a team, it's easier to put a player that doesn't have those insane numbers overall for their career up in the rafters. So I could definitely see that. Whereas like you look at Scotty and Selanne and even Paul, they were probably the best of their position at some point in their career. I mean, clearly Teemu and Scotty, where it's arguable for Paul. I know a lot of people kind of like to push back on Paul Kariya. Yeah. Even I was on the borderline, even though he's my favorite player ever, about getting him to the Hall, but I was glad he went because he was a point-per-game guy. And I thought, he's dominant enough, played in all-star games, and did enough in his career to get that. But, I think Giguère is going to get there. I do think he's going to get there for sure. Yeah,
he'll get there. I haven't seen a single goalie wear 35 since he was here. That might be one of those numbers where everyone kind of just goalies just don't really touch it. So if it's not touched for long enough, I guess kind of say why not at this point. But I feel like he should have his number in there. I just don't know when it'll be. They've done 3 in the last 3 years, so I think they're probably going to take a little breather 2 this year. That's kind of crazy. So we'll probably wait and see, but I feel at some point he'll get his due because he's still beloved. People think of him fondly here, so I mean it's hard to kind of take that away.
Well, that is it for us on tonight's show. Shout out to coolhockey.com. That's the one that gives away the jerseys for you guys who participate in the Forever Mighty 3-star leaderboard every single game. We post the questions, you answer them, you get points. We tally up those points, or Ed tallies up those points in his Canadian way, and is able to come up with some sort of scheme on who wins at the end. Apparently, he picks the most points, something like that. But coolhockey.com, go check them out and use our Forever Mighty code FM20 to get you 20% off any jersey there. They customize them all. They're legit, and they're awesome. I mean, and no one who's gotten one from us has had any sort of complaints whatsoever. They're perfect jerseys coming from coolhockey.com, so go check them out.
Yep.
And then also check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also our Patreon feed as well. We're doing a lot of bonus shows there every month, 4 to be exact, plus watch parties, which we are doing one March 23rd against the Kings. That's the next watch party show. The location is being solidified as we speak. We'll have more information on that as we get closer to the date. We'll probably announce that here towards the end of the month on a permanent place, time, and all. Once we get some special items on the happy hour menu figured out. Once I get that figured out 100%, we'll announce that.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. So
yes, I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to have a lot of prizes on that one. We're kind of gearing things up to make sure that happens.
Yeah, especially get this win streak going, right? Get back into the playoffs. So no, it's not sure. Let's just, as long as we win that day, we win that day, happy day.
Yeah, I don't want to lose against the Kings. Well, unless it's for Hughes.
Right. Yeah. If you had to lose the rest of the games till you get Jack Hughes, that's a good prize. End of the tunnel.
We all win. I guess
for the next 23 games. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys here on Tuesday night. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for ruining my show, by the way. That's it. I'm sorry you guys had to sit through that, but this is an obligation, contract obligation, they told me. So my kneecaps are sweating and I really got to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to have to let you guys go. Thank you. Bye.